It is a land of many cultures. It is home to many ancient and medieval civilizations. It has been and continues to be a crossroads where Europe and Asia meet. It is a bridge between East and West, between the past and the present. Turkey. It is also in Turkey, this land with a heritage stretching back thousands of years, that so many stories of the Bible unfold. According to tradition, it was in Turkey where, after the catastrophe of the Great Flood, the Ark of Noah came to rest near the summit of Mount Ararat. It was in Turkey, at a site known as Çatalhöyük, that one of the first human settlements was founded in the 8th century before the Common Era. It was in Turkey that the great civilization of the Hittites arose, and in the Kingdom of Lydia that one of the world's first coins was minted. Sadly, however, history teaches us that in lands where many civilizations and cultures meet, there is the potential for conflict. Şanlıurfa, which is in the southeastern part of Turkey, is a home to Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, and is known as the birthplace of Father Abraham. It witnessed the great clash between Father Abraham and the brutal King Nemrut. In Turkey, Persians and Macedonians fought for dominance of their known world. Turkey and the Eastern Aegean were also the stage for that epic clash between Trojans and Greeks, a clash that gave rise to two of the greatest and most ancient literary monuments of Western civilization, the Iliad and the Odyssey of Homer. It was in Anatolia, one of the oldest names for the land now known as Turkey, where Alexander the Great set out to conquer the world, and where he first began to plant the seeds of a Hellenistic culture that would transform the Mediterranean, West Asian, and Central Asian regions of the world. It was in Anatolia where the mighty Empire of Rome found its new life as Byzantium. And it was in Anatolia, in the city of Antioch, that the followers of Jesus of Nazareth were first called Christians. St. Paul and St. Barnabas went on their first missionary journey from Antioch. Indeed, Anatolia was, in many ways, the cradle of this revolutionary religious movement, which subsequently spread to the four corners of the earth. It was the land of Turkey where the great apostle Paul first spread the good news of the gospel. Ephesus, another ancient Anatolian city, was not just an important stop on Paul's missionary journey. It was also where, according to ancient tradition, the Virgin Mary, under the care of Jesus' beloved disciple John, made her home. And it is here where pilgrims from all over the world continue to stream to honor her memory. Ephesus was also the home of the legendary 7 sleepers who took refuge in a cave to escape persecution, and there slept for nearly 3 centuries. Saint Polycarp, who had been a disciple of Saint John, was martyred at the age of 87 by the Romans in AD 155. According to the tradition, when they tried to burn him at the stake, the flames did not touch him. So they finally stabbed him to death. Today, the St. Polycarp Church is known as the oldest church in Izmir and symbolizes the 7 churches of the Apocalypse. Indeed, Ephesus, along with Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea, are the homes of the famed 7 churches of the New Testament's book of Revelation. It was also in Turkey's province of Cappadocia where the early Christians hid from persecution in a great underground city, and where the great doctors of the Eastern Church, Gregory of Nyssa, Basil the Great, and Gregory Nazianzen, were born and raised. And it was in Turkey that so much of the drama of the early theological controversies of the first Christian centuries took place. The great heretical bishop Marcion hailed from Sinope on the coast of the Black Sea, and the pivotal ecumenical council of Nicaea, which upheld the doctrine of the full humanity and full divinity of Christ, took place at Iznik across the Bosphorus from the Byzantine imperial capital of Constantinople. It is in Constantinople, now known as Istanbul, that the great Hagia Sophia Church still stands as a monument to the grandeur, depth, and majesty of Byzantine Christian civilization and faith. There are also many other great Christian monuments in Turkey, such as the Sumela Monastery, nestled in the mountains of the Black Sea region of Turkey, which is a point of great interest for Christian visitors. By the 8th century CE, a new and burgeoning civilization comes to Anatolia, the civilization of Islam. It was not, however, until 300 years later, with the advent of the Seljuk Turkish dynasty, that Anatolia begins to become increasingly Turkish and increasingly Muslim. In the land of Anatolia, Seljuks and Christians lived together for the most part in peace. In fact, tolerance for religious and ethnic diversity was such a hallmark of Seljuk culture that the Seljuk capital of Konya eventually became the home of the great 13th century Muslim jurist, Sufi master, philosopher, and poet Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi. In fact, the teachings of Rumi have had such an impact on the lives of people in subsequent centuries and in societies across the globe that not more than 5 years ago, Rumi was the best-selling poet in the U.S. The Crusades, along with other historical circumstances, bring an end to both the heyday of the Seljuks and the Byzantines in Anatolia. But from the ashes of these two great civilizations, another was born, that of the Ottoman Turks. As time passes, the Ottomans conquer small Byzantine and competitor Turkish states, until in the early part of the 15th century CE, the Ottomans captured Constantinople under the leadership of Fatih Sultan Mehmet, the conqueror. Although not an egalitarian by modern standards, Fatih Sultan Mehmet was an example of profound tolerance of religious and cultural diversity in his day. Under his reign, and following the established example of previous Muslim conquests of Christian lands, he left the Christian community of Constantinople relatively free to practice its faith. In fact, by many accounts, he established good relations with the city's esteemed Christian patriarch. Indeed, when the Jews were expelled from Spain after the Christian Reconquista, many migrated to Istanbul and other Ottoman domains, where they knew they would be safe. The Jews and many other religious and ethnic groups contributed the richness of their cultures to Ottoman life. In fact, descendants of those Spanish Jews who immigrated to the Ottoman Empire in the 15th century live in Istanbul to this very day. Perhaps one of the best pieces of evidence of the relative tolerance for diversity that distinguished the Ottoman Empire is Turkish cuisine. Turkish cuisine, the pride of so many Turks and the delight of so many visitors to Turkey, became one of the most delicious in human history, precisely because of all the various cultures that contributed to the development of Ottoman recipes. Beyond cuisine, the Ottomans are noted for their achievements in many different aspects of Anatolian culture, with an especially spectacular result in the area of architecture. Of the many incredible structures of Ottoman architecture, a few stand out. These are the famous Blue Mosque, as well as the Selimiye and Süleymaniye mosques, the latter two of which are the creations of the greatest of Ottoman architects, Sinan. Trade has been the economic lifeblood of Anatolia for centuries. And this is still true of modern Turkey. The Seljuks built caravanserais, hospitality stations for caravan traders, and this tradition of buying and selling in the context of warm hospitality continues uninterrupted to this day. In fact, it is in Turkey that one finds the great covered bazaar, the first indoor mall. For centuries, the covered and spice bazaars have thrived in the heart of Istanbul, attracting thousands of shoppers to its hundreds of stores each day. If there is one place where the treasures of the earliest days of Islam, as well as the treasures of the Ottomans, can be found, it is in the Topkapi Palace Museum, where a stroll of a few hundred yards is a stroll into history, and where the views of the great city of Istanbul are unmatched. The early part of the 20th century marked a new chapter in Turkish history. Under the stewardship of its first president, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, Turkey became a modern nation-state with a tradition of secular government. While much has changed since Ottoman times, much has remained the same. The city of Istanbul is as beautiful as ever, with two modern suspension bridges linking its European and Asian sides, and yet with the domes of exquisite 15th and 16th century mosques still dominating its skyline. And most importantly, the people of Turkey are as warm and hospitable as ever, eager to welcome guests from all over the world. Those who have been to Turkey usually marvel at the degree to which hospitality and the pleasure of the guest is at the center of Turkish culture. The Turkish people offer this hospitality without discrimination to one and all. Visiting famous sites can be thrilling, but it does not constitute visiting a country. To visit a country, one must visit its people. The Turkish people have long known this, and this is why they beckon with open arms to all who would be their guests. They beckon you to come and get to know them, to share some hot tea and some friendly conversation. But most of all, to share a piece of your heart with them as they will with you. They say that in Turkey, you will find some old, lost part of your past, and you will discover some fresh, new part of your heart. We now invite you to make one of the greatest journeys of discovery you will ever undertake. Come, walk in the footsteps of great saints and conquerors. Talk with Anatolian villagers and contemporary Turkish entrepreneurs. Eat the food it has taken centuries to prepare. Gaze into the smiling eyes of Turkish school children. Slip into the quiet grandeur of an Ottoman mosque. Come and discover living Turkey.